over our questions. And this will be for you to look back and check your answers. So question number 1 says, according to the timeline and information in the text, besides walking, how did people travel before 3500 BC? I should always read my question and my answers 2 times so that I know exactly what it's asking me to do. So my choices are oars and sails were added to boats. B, horses were ridden from place to place. C, simple rafts were made by tying logs together. And D, humans used boats, carts, and animals to travel. So I'm going to read the question again. According to the timeline and information in the text, besides walking, how did people travel before 3500 BC? A, oars and sails were added to boats. B, horses were ridden from place to place. C, simple rafts were made by tying logs together. And D, humans used boats, carts, and animals to travel. We're going to use something that I call POE in my classroom, and it's called process of elimination. We're going to get rid of the answers that we know it cannot be. My kids that have had me before will tell you, you have to POE, so Miss Wall does not have a FIT. No fits in the classroom, so we have to make sure we're using our strategies. So it says the timeline. So I want to pull my timeline up, and I want us to look at the timeline. Remember I told you in an earlier read that we would be using this. So it says, according to the timeline and the information on the text, before 3500 BC, how do they travel? So I need to be before 3500 BC, which is this area right here, because my timeline says 3500 BC starts here. So let's look. A says oars and sails were added to boats. Okay, oars and sails. Do you see sails here on the boats? So no, we know that the timeline, I'm just going to mark it off a little bit right now because I want to show you in the text. We're going to mark it off because they did not use sails until much later. B says horses were ridden from place to place. We're only studying over here before 3500 BC. Horses don't come along until 2000 BC. So I know that cannot be my answer. Okay? C, simple rafts were made by tying logs together. So we know over here that this is when people first started using the water and started traveling by water. So that's a good possibility. So I'm going to put a baby check by C, and I'm going to check it with the text because it tells me to use the timeline and the text. And then D says humans use boats, carts, and animals to travel. Okay, well, they don't have carts until 3500 BC. We don't start using animals until 2000 BC. You don't see any animals over here. So that answer cannot be correct. So I can get rid of that answer. So now I'm going to look in my text and I'm going to see if I can find where they used simple rafts before 3500 BC. And right here it says, at first, they made a simple raft by tying logs together. Maybe you can see that or not. Okay, at first they made a simple raft by tying logs together. That tells me that it happened before 3500 BC because it starts talking about 3500 BC down here. So the correct answer for number 1 is C. And I found that answer by using both the text and my timeline.